Happy Sabbath. How many of you woke up this morning feeling like, oh, it's raining and my bed feels so good? Mark, I see your hand. Yes? But you came. May the Lord bless you for that. How many of us came even though we felt like, maybe I should stay in bed? And for those who are getting younger as years go by, when it rains, you start to feel some pains here and there. True or not? It's happening to me already. So I'm a bit fearful about the future. I believe that it's important to exercise and change my diet and listen more to my wife because I'm not getting any younger. But after the mission trip that the young adults had a couple of weeks ago, I truly feel refreshed and energized. And I was thinking, how can I share that message that I got while I was on the mission field with the church, with all of you? And the Lord gave me a powerful passage, and we will get to it in a short while. But before we go into the passage, let me ask you, don't you think that life as it is, whether it becomes longer or shorter, life is a trip? Would you agree with me? For some people, it is a long trip. For some people, it is a very short trip. At the end of the day, we are here on borrowed time. And what do we do with it? How do we navigate this trip? We are all in. How do we go through life? That's why I entitled the sermon, Life's Mission Trip. I put mission between life and trip because when you follow Jesus, when you love Jesus, your life is no longer yours. You're on a mission to share Jesus with the people around you. And I was pleasantly surprised throughout the week to see that the Sabbath school lesson, are you with me? It's pretty much about this. Understanding that we are here, we are on this trip to share Jesus. So whether you acknowledge it or not, you must understand that we are traveling together. And when you think of traveling together, there are a few things that you need to take care of. The people around you, because you don't travel alone. The environment that surrounds you also plays a part. Whether you feel good or not about what's happening on the trip, all those little things matter. And this becomes all the more relevant when you compare life to a mission trip. How many of us have done a mission trip? Can I see? Hands? Oops. Oops. Okay, I see a few hands. What is a mission trip? Tell me. I agree. Many of us don't know. A mission trip is when you go to another place and you try your best to bless the people you're going to meet there. And many Christians around the world do this as a regular practice. At least once or twice a year, they go to a distant mission field to bless the people over there. What happens in a mission trip? Well, I can share a little bit with you about what our mission trip, the one that we did a couple of weeks ago, was all about. Number one, and this is important, we had to abandon our comfort zone. We had to leave Singapore. And we went to northern Thailand. Close to people that have little to nothing. And as we left the comfort of our rooms and beds and ACs, and sometimes even internet because there was no connection in some places, we felt like, wow, this is getting real. I am abandoning my comfort zone. Another thing that we experienced there is that we had to adapt to the place and the people. Because most people over there did not speak English. So now you have to learn a few words that maybe you were not aware of. And lastly, you had to adopt an attitude of service. Do you agree with me that Singaporeans are professional complainers? You agree or don't agree? I am becoming Singaporean, so I know. Now when my Grab food is not reaching home on time, I send a message to the driver or the rider. Hey, where's the food? You're late. 5-10 minutes. And sometimes in this particular context where everything is supposed to be efficient, you are even prompted to complain. If you don't like how you were treated, write a review. And some of us sometimes get excited about that. But on a mission trip, that's not the mindset. You need to adopt an attitude of service. It's not about me. It's about what I can do to help people. Now that I have shared with you a little bit about what a mission trip is, think with me. Wouldn't our lives be a lot better if we had these 3 A's as our common practice? Imagine going through life abandoning your comfort zone. Imagine that. Imagine going through life adapting to the place and the people around you. You don't focus on yourself, you focus on others. Imagine adopting an attitude of service, wherever you are. At work, at home, on the lift, as you walk to the mall. Having a mindset, a heart of service. How would that look like? Now we are ready to go to the Word of God. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, this is precisely what Paul is talking about. And I want you to go there with me. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. And I want to read the portion that covers this idea of abandoning our comfort zone, adapting to the place/people that we are surrounded by, and adopting an attitude of service. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, and I want to read and study with you verses 19 through 23. 1 Corinthians 9, verses 19 through 23. And Paul is the one speaking. And Paul says, even though I am a free man with no master, I have become a slave to all people to bring many to Christ. What does that mean? I'm a believer. I love God. I don't have a master, but I have become a servant in order to bring many people to Jesus. And now he's going to get into it. He's going to explain what he means. Verse 20. When I was with the Cubans, I lived like a Cuban. To bring many Cubans to? That would be a good conclusion. But hopefully the answer would be to heaven. Right? I'm trying to evangelize. I'm trying to share the gospel. I'm reaching out to everyone. Not just the Jews, but anybody who I see needs salvation. When I was with those who followed the Jewish law, I too lived under that law. Even though I am not subject to the law, I did this so I could bring to Christ those who are under the law. And maybe by now you're thinking, oh, Paul is great at compromising. But that's not it. He's not compromising. We need to continue reading. When I am with Gentiles, those who are non-believers or those who are not Jews, when I am with the Gentiles who do not follow the Jewish law, I too live apart from that law so I can bring them to Christ. But I do not ignore the law of God. I obey the law of Christ. So how do we reconcile this idea that Paul becomes anything and everything to anyone and everyone. Now he explains in verse 22. When I am with those who are weak, I share their weakness, for I want to bring the weak to Christ. Yes, and this is the answer. I try to find common ground with everyone, doing everything so I can save how many? What does it say there? Let me repeat that idea, okay? This is amazing. I try to find common ground. When I talk to a Muslim brother or sister, I need to find what? Common ground. When I talk to a Catholic friend, I need to find common ground. When I talk to a Hindu or a Buddhist friend, what do I need to find? Common ground. I'm not compromising the gospel. I'm not compromising my beliefs, but I need to learn how they think and how they feel and become their friend so that at some point I can let them know that I have no issue being close to them and sharing in their struggles. And whatever common ground I can find, I will do so in order to present the gospel to them. True story. And I was sharing a little bit about this during Sabbath school time. I was on the lift from the car park to my apartment, to my home. And on the lift with me, there's a guy that I know as my neighbor, but it's only hi and bye. It's that kind of relationship. Hi, and then bye. It's that kind of relationship. And this man, out of nowhere, tells me, hey, what do you do? Like out of nowhere. He didn't even ask for my name first. Because you look, he continued. I didn't have the chance to answer right away. He continued, you look like someone who is in IT. Then I said, why? And he said, because you're always with your iPad. And sorry, your belly looks like you work in front of a computer. Wow. Would you feel offended? Would you? iPad, belly. Remember what Paul said, I have become all things so that I can connect with people and find common ground. And I tell him, no, I am a church pastor. And this man said, no way. You're so young. How can you be a church pastor? I said, yes, I am a church pastor. My wife is a primary school teacher. Where does she work? This is like an interrogation, okay? But I'm willing because I need to become everything and anything to everyone and anyone so that I may bring some to Christ. We cannot feel offended. Hey, you're asking too many questions. Stop. No, that's not the idea. When I mentioned that my wife works at SDACC, he said, I studied at SDACC. I know the Adventist church. So if you're a pastor, you need to bring me to church with you. And now, I am finding the right opportunity to bring Joel to church with me, my neighbor, for 3.5 years, whom I had this high and by relationship, just with a few questions. Now he wants to visit the Adventist church once again. But imagine if we get offended. Imagine if we cut the conversation. Imagine if we are not friendly. What happens? I have become, what does Paul say here? Everything and anything to find common ground. And then he says, I do all this sacrifice to save everyone in the world. Does he say that? Because he's hoping to save everyone, right? That's not the math. The math here is you do everything for everyone, hoping that you will save how many? This number, this sum, I don't think it's a lot. I think this psalm is more on the negative, lower side of things. But I do all this so I may save some. Now I take that to the whole church. Our church needs to become everything and anything to save how many? Are we there? Are we ready for that? Where are we at with this biblical foundation that we have for mission when we read 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verses 19 through 23? Am I willing to sacrifice anything? Am I willing to go out of my comfort zone? Abandon it and say, okay, Lord, what's next? Am I willing to adapt to the needs of the church? I'm talking about our church, SDACC. Pastor, how can I help? There are so many ministries that need your help, and I will be talking about that very soon in July. I am preparing a sermon series called TMI. TMI stands for not too much information, but total member. We need to talk about that. How can I help? What can I do? How can I contribute? Because we need to do everything and anything to save how many? Some. That's the math. The lady at the center of the picture. You have May on the right side. You have a few kids that we were talking to on the left. And somewhat in the middle, you have this lady. Her name is Ken. Do you know what Ken does for a living? She's an architect from Sao Paulo, one of the biggest cities in Brazil. She was making a ton of money as an architect. Ton. And the Lord touched her heart. And she sold her business. And she left everything. She abandoned her comfort zone. Are you with me? She adapted to the people and the place she's at. And she's adopting a heart, an attitude of service. And when I look at her, I think, how come? And not only her, because you know when women do something, they convince the husband, right? You know that, right? So the husband also sold his business. And now they work at the Thai-Myanmar border serving. Who pays? Nobody. From their income. They are sacrificing everything. They are becoming anything and everything to anyone and everyone so that they might save some. You know this lady here? Maybe you don't recognize her because of the cap and how serious she looks. She's focused on painting. On the mission trip, we had to do a few things that we are not comfortable doing because we had to abandon what? Our comfort zone. And very, very soon, we found ourselves painting walls of the dormitory, of the little chapel or church that they have at this school called Donaview. And some of us got paint on our clothes. And the lady who was training us and helping us, teaching us how to paint, told us that it was water-based paint. Meaning that when you wash it, the paint will go away. The paint never went away. The paint stayed. And I tried very hard, but it didn't work out. But I shouldn't feel bad because I lost shorts that I like or a t-shirt that I like because I need to abandon my comfort zone. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Pastor, do I need to go to northern Thailand? Do I need to get paint on my clothes? No. But what are you comfortable with right here in Singapore? Because the lessons I'm taking from that foreign mission field, those lessons apply to us. Don't you think that we are too comfortable just coming to church? Don't you think that we are too comfortable just attending Sabbath school? And that's also a struggle because some people tell me, Pastor, I come for the service, but I don't come for Sabbath school. Too early. When you wake up for work, at what time do you wake up? Even kids right here in Singapore, they have to wake up super early. Why cannot we wake up also early on Sabbath morning to attend Sabbath school? But that's not it. We need to move away from attending to, can you say it for me? To serving. How can I help in church? What can I do? I'm not just a spectator here, warming the chairs, feeling good about the sermon and the music. How can I serve my congregation? But we need to abandon the comfort zone of our heads first to be able to move forward. You will hear me talk about this more and more. And I will be talking about specific ministries that need your help. We are not here just to attend. We are here to partake. Abandon the comfort zone and say, I'm willing to serve. What else do we learn from Paul? That we adapt. To the Jews, he was a Jew. To the Singaporeans, he was a Singaporean. To the Gentiles, he was a Gentile. He was everything to everyone. And now I have a confession to make. I think our church needs to do better in everything. But there's one area that weighs heavily in my heart. And that area is social media. Our church, and I'm talking about SDACC now, our church needs to have a stronger online presence. Do you agree with me? You don't agree with me? That our church needs to have a stronger online presence. Yes or no? Can I see the hands of those? If you believe that our church should have a stronger online presence, please raise your hand. Okay? So a lot of people don't believe. That's why our online presence is very weak. But nowadays, if we want to reach young people, we got to be strong online. If we want to reach young families, we got to be strong online. Everyone or almost everyone has a social media account. Are you aware of that? Who here doesn't have Facebook? Who here doesn't have WhatsApp? Who here doesn't have Instagram? If you don't have, may the Lord bless you and keep you. But almost everyone has that. The other day, I don't know how many of you know Auntie Freda. Auntie Freda started to follow our Instagram page. Freda E. And I was shocked. She might be watching the sermon. I was shocked when I saw Freda E is following SDACC. And I was shocked and at the same time ashamed because our Instagram page, oh boy, we need to do better. 2-3 months ago, a couple of Australians, nothing against Australians. They just lost this morning to the US, so please bear with them. World Cup, for those who are following. 2 Australian ladies came to church. And as I am greeting them at the door after the service, they tell me, Pastor, we love your church. I said, amen. And we love the service. I said, amen. And I said, well, actually today we don't have potluck. So I feel really bad that you don't get to enjoy the fellowship that we normally have when we do enjoy fellowship lunch. And the 2 ladies said, it's all right, but Pastor, there's one thing we believe you need to work on. I was like, oops. And both of them said, your Instagram page. You need to do better. So I ask you now, are you following us on Facebook? I ask you now, are you following us on YouTube? Are you aware that we have a website? Hello, hello. Take out your phone and type SDACC and follow us everywhere we are. Because from this moment on, I am making this commitment to God and the church. And I will need help from those of you who are in marketing, who know how to deal with social media. I will need your help. We need to have a stronger online presence. Pastor, what can I do? When we share a post, when we make an invitation online, I want you to be a digital evangelist. I want you to share that post. Are you willing? Or are you a CIA, SDA? And nobody knows I'm a Christian. I cannot share about God online. Why not? Tell people about what's happening in church. Let them know. Only when we try everything, we will be able to save some. That's why we need to try online as well. And what is the last part? We need to adopt. You know why I'm saying adopt? Because it's not natural. You and I do not have a natural attitude of service. Our natural attitude is to be served. Serve me, help me. I'm the center of the universe. But Jesus says, if I am lifted up, then He died on the cross for us. How can we be self-centered? If Jesus, if Christ, if God Himself was not, if Jesus was not self-centered, how can we be? That's why we need to adopt a heart, an attitude of service. Let me tell you that the mission trip was tough. Okay? After day 1, some of us felt like, boy, this is too hard. Because it was raining and we had to travel a long distance and we had to get on a boat. And by the time you get to the school that we wanted to serve and we wanted to help, by the time we got there, we were so tired. So after day 1, a few of us had blisters and were uncomfortable and we needed to do laundry, but we didn't know where to do laundry. It was terrible. But day 2 came with a surprise. The pickup truck that was helping us get to the school we were serving broke down. How about that? In the middle of nowhere. With mud everywhere. And this is Carl. He is one of the members from Filipino church. And he has very good reporting skills. So I told him on the spot, Carl, I need you to make a video of what happened. And this is the video.
Alright guys, we're here at the scene of the crime. We were on the way to Donnaview High School and the axle of our 4x4 just broke. Here in the mud, we're going uphill and now we're stuck. If you turn around, you can check out the group over there. All of us just waiting. And yeah, you know, it's not always up and downs. It's not always going up, but sometimes there's down. So here we are, we're stuck. We're around, I'd say a 40-minute to 1 hour walk away from the school, but day 2, what a start. See you guys.
How about that? And I praise the Lord because from our group and from the group of Brazilians assisting us, no one complained. No one. It was raining, it was hot, it was humid, it was unpleasant, but we were all so happy. I don't know what you're going through in your life personally, at home, at work, but are you serving God? Because when you start serving God, when you start focusing on others, the joy of service, the joy of salvation will come into your heart. But unless you try, unless you experience it, you won't know what that is. You will be finding ways to complain and say, well, the church is not doing well. Well, we could do this better. But are you helping? Are you contributing? Are you saying, what can I do? We need to adopt an attitude of service. That's what being a Christian is all about. That's what Paul is trying to highlight in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. And he says, and I highlighted this for you, I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save how many? We need to try everything. We need to try anything we can try. Online evangelism, care groups, total member involvement, visitation, community outreach. I don't know what we're going to do with 800 Thompson, but we need to try something. We need to do something. Hundreds of people right there next to us. They don't know we exist. And if they know we exist, they are not interested in joining us. How can we make that happen? Well, we need to try everything and anything. So we might save some. And why do we do this? Because we want to share the blessing of the gospel. Because we want to share Jesus. Going back to Sabbath school as we studied the lesson this morning. We need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to adapt to this mission field. Singapore. What does Singapore need? What are the needs that have not been addressed? And the gospel has the answers for them. How do we adopt a heart of service, an attitude of service? I will be talking more about this in July and in August. In the meantime, let me finish on a high note saying our church is on a mission trip. Because our church will not be here forever. At some point when Jesus comes, no more SDACC. Yes? Hello, hello. Are you waiting for Jesus to come? Then no more SDACC. So this church is on a mission trip on this earth. The question is, are you willing to travel with us? Are you willing to be a part of this community and say, how can I help? How can I serve? What can I do? We try everything. We become all things that we might save some. I was thinking long and hard yesterday, how could we close the worship service with a beautiful song that appeals to us? And I don't know how many of you know this song. I know this song through a Catholic friend. For some time he thought about becoming a priest, but in the end he didn't. But we kept in touch. And I know about this song through him. But yesterday, May, out of nowhere, gave me a couple of suggestions, and she included this song. And I was like, okay, let me listen to it again. And I think this is the right fit to close the worship service today. And this song is all about serving God and sharing the gospel and doing everything and anything so we might save some. But the chorus is very catchy. So as we get into the chorus, I think May and Joy at some point will invite you. And we changed the lyrics of the chorus a little bit from I to we. And we will see how that pans out. May, Joy, help us as we sing, Here I Am, Lord.